couple of days ago, we spoke to you about the possibility of ISIS having training camps near the Mexican-Texas border in Mexico. In responding to a Judicial Watch report, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI supervisors, called a special meeting at the US Consulate in Ciudad Juárez to take a closer look at this. Chris Farrell is here, the Director of Research and Investigations for Judicial Watch. We spoke with him just a couple of days ago about this, and now we're getting an update. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. Good to talk to you.
So the FBI has taken a closer look. Is that our understanding?
Well, I know that they have, because we've got a source, frankly, who has astounding access. I'm not going to go beyond that. And so we've got reporting that there was a meeting called by the FBI in the U.S. Consulate in Juarez, Mexico, where they invited the Mexican Army and the Mexican Federal Police into a meeting. And the meeting had two objectives. Number one, come up with a press strategy to knock down our story, to deny it, to discredit it. And then number two, find out who's leaking to Judicial Watch.
Yeah, because you guys are getting too much information too often. Okay, so in a related story, in an attempt to downplay these rumors, one Democrat in Texas, Beto O'Rourke, has said that this is just, these stories like this are good at scaring people, getting attention for those that spread them. He says there's no truth to it, to these ISIS people being in Mexico. He's a Democrat from Texas. What do you make of that?
Well, the director of the FBI has said that there's counterterrorism investigations in each of the 50 states. Just yesterday, a man was indicted in Ohio for cooperating with ISIS and traveling to Syria. We've had arrests in Brooklyn. We've had people from Minneapolis traveling to Syria in support of ISIS. So we've had all this terrorist activity inside the United States, and nobody seems to bat an eye. But when we report on terrorists operating along the border, the reaction, the knee-jerk reaction, which is so severe and such an enormous amount of pushback, only tells me the old adage is true, that when you're taking flak, you're directly over the target.
Exactly right. If people are pushing back this hard, and you wonder, is a politician doing a disservice not only to his constituencies but to the rest of us as well? I mean, this is his neck of the woods. To deny that there is something concerning going on with all the evidence piling up is a bit much.
And look, this is a matter of, this is a Chamber of Commerce issue for him, right?
Right, apparently.
This is keep everybody happy, stick to the talking points. This is a guy who aggressively supports Obama's administrative amnesty and the open borders people. So there's a business side to this. It's an effort to, don't dare look, just keep moving, whistle past the graveyard, kind of an approach.
Well, this guy is...
And then frankly, there's additional pressures. The Vicente Carrillo Fuentes cartel, the Juarez cartel, has enormous sway and power right across the border in Juarez. And, Juarez, for a long time, was the most violent city in the Western Hemisphere.
That's right. Most people don't realize that. And your point about this being a Chamber of Commerce issue for this Democrat, exactly right, because one of his comments is El Paso's ability to recruit talent and for our region's opportunity to capitalize on the benefits of being the largest binational community in the world is jeopardized by these sorts of stories. Binational community, I'm not even sure I've ever heard such a term. This is a guy who's probably into globalism and, having no nations and having it all one world deal. I'm not entirely sure who he represents in the United States Congress, are you? Not me, I can assure you of that. It doesn't not common sense, people. Texas somewhere. No, I don't know, but somewhere in Texas, obviously, a district there, but makes not a lot of sense. And because you're exactly right. And here we have this whole flood of illegals coming across the board. We don't know who's in there. And now I guess we do have a possible reprieve because the matter of the moratorium on executive amnesty is before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, which is critical. It's there today, right? It is, and there's going to be oral argument. It'll be very interesting to see what the federal government says. And,
And what's always most interesting is the line of questioning that comes from the three-judge panel. It's a fascinating, it's also very high risk, frankly. This is one of these times where we turn over the fate of the government to three people in black robes and hope they do the right thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say something crazy now, which is pretty normal for the program. But if we found an ISIS training camp in Iraq or Yemen or Syria or wherever, we would send in a drone and take care of the camp. Is that what we would probably do?
That's a pretty safe summation of what we've done before, yeah.
Pretty safe bet. So my question then becomes, if we verify that there are active ISIS training camps 8 or 10 or 15 miles from the Texas border in Mexico, why would our approach be any different, except for the fact that, the Mexicans would scream foul and people like this O'Rourke idiot from Texas would scream foul? But the fact of the matter is, that's much more of an immediate threat to the United States, not even comparable to a training site in the middle of Syria.
Yeah, I mean, this is a case where the administration has got an agenda, and they're not going to let anything get in the way of it. Right? Facts be damned. They've got a political set of objectives. They've got a donor base that's writing checks to them, and they will shape and constrain or restrict the narrative and dream up all kinds of phony attempts to knock down stories because it's very damning and challenging to them. And so the notion that we're fighting ISIS on every front, and we're so conflicted. We've turned the United States Air Force into a surrogate Air Force for the Iranians and attacking targets in Iraq. Right.
Right.
This is the world turned upside down. Yeah. And yet, if you mention that there is a terrorist threat along the border, where anyone would tell you it would only make sense to use a safe haven like Mexico to stage and plan and conduct operations into the United States, as a safe haven. Why wouldn't they do it? So it's very hard to peel back the layers on this one, and there's lots and lots of pushback.
And we'll get to it, and we'll keep pushing back and peeling. Chris Farrell, always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
It is Chris Farrell, Director of Research and Investigations for Judicial Watch.